Hi investigators, Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy here with this week's Friday Private, Government and Corporate Investigator Weekly News. Yes, it's the best thing for investigators in Australia since this. And I've just wiped myself out. I'll come back. Off to a great start already. That's fantastic. So this is the best program for investigators since this stuff. So glad you tuned in and watching. Got a lot of stuff happening this week. So first we're going to go straight into, and I can hardly wait for it because it's so important. Yes, the investigation vacancies in Australia this week. Here we go. There's quite a few of them all around the country. First and foremost, this one's really important. If you're in Cairns or you know someone in Cairns, the Australian Security Academy has a major established national client that has a job for you in surveillance in Cairns. Okay, now I've looked at the job. It's probably the softest job I've ever seen. And if you're a surveillance agent in Cairns, get in touch with me, email me, don't ring me up, email me, okay, or private message me on Facebook, and I'll put you in touch with that national employer who's been established for over 20 years. They've got a surveillance job for you in Cairns. It's an important one, and you'll have a lot of fun on this job because it certainly isn't out in the bush, and it's one of the easier surveillance jobs I've ever seen. So something to look forward to there as a licensed private investigator. Down in Victoria, Anglicare are after an investigator for quality and review in their organisation. Now, these jobs you can see on our Australian Security Academy Facebook page. Here it is. If you jump onto Facebook and type in Australian Private Investigator Corporate and Government Investigation Jobs, you're going to see all these jobs and a whole lot more. I'll show you a quick way of finding it if you are on YouTube. So you might be on YouTube and you have got a really easy way of finding those jobs. So today I'm going to show you how to quickly find the Australian Security Academy Private, Corporate and Government Investigation Vacancies Facebook page. That Facebook page is the reference source for weekly new job vacancies in investigations in Australia. So if you're one of the 124,000 people that have viewed a video on the Australian Security Academy's YouTube page, which you are looking at now, it's really easy. All you have to do to find the jobs vacancy page on Facebook is go up in the right hand corner up here. We can see the little hand. Click that Facebook logo there and it will take you to the Australian Private Investigator Corporate and Government Investigation Jobs page. And here you can see a private investigation job in New South Wales for Quantum Corp. In fact, multiple private investigation jobs there. A private investigator job with Inside Intelligence in New South Wales doing workers' compensation investigations. You'll be able to see government investigation vacancies like this one at the Department of Defence. Private investigation job vacancies with Kerrigan's down in Melbourne. And all those vacancies are updated each week and you can see all about them. There's even sometimes links to where to apply. Here's one with the Building Authority in Victoria. They're looking for investigators and they're prepared to pay you $141,000 a year if you're a builder that can investigate. So you might be a plumber, you might be a sparky, you might be a builder. They want you to go and investigate on their behalf. All these jobs are updated every week and you can see 3 years worth of job vacancies so you can do your research and tailor your job applications to precisely what they want with the criteria using the words they use in their advertisements. So take full advantage of that jobs page. It's easy. From the Australian Security Academy YouTube page, just go to the top right hand corner where you can see the Facebook logo, click on that and it'll take you straight there. How easy is that? Okay, these two snoozers have jobs in New South Wales for licensed private investigators to do factual investigation, and they also have jobs in Victoria to do factual investigation. Don't ring them up, they're too busy. They won't even answer the phone. Contact Mary in the office. She's efficient, she's organised. She's not like these two snoozers who, you know, if they've got two things on, it's just confusing for them. Mary will sort you out, help you get into an interview there at SureFact, and she will weave magic to get you working as a licensed private investigator in New South Wales and or Victoria. So Mary Mansell's the person to call. Give her a call. There's the number. She's the admin person at SureFact. Don't let that fool you. She's an investigator who's in charge of admin at SureFact, and she keeps these two boys in line. So get in touch with them down in Victoria for work in workers' compensation, general insurance, and they're particularly interested to know anyone who's a licensed private investigator that speaks an Asian or Middle Eastern language at the moment. So get in touch with Mary on the phone number there. If you want to see this and you've forgotten all about it, jump over to YouTube tomorrow and you will be able to see the replay of this so you can see their contact details again. So if you go to the Australian Security Academy YouTube page, excuse me, I made a cough into the microphone. I did have a picture of the Australian Security Academy YouTube page, but it seems to have disappeared. And you can replay this video and you can see the contact details for Mary down at SureFact, who will organise you an interview. So take your licence along, your resume, show them what you did in your course with some of your stuff, and you could be working as an investigator for SureFact very soon. So don't miss out on that opportunity. It's a beauty. Oh, I've got to pause for effect and for a drink of water. Got asked last week what happened to question of the week. Well, we still will have question of the week. We just have some, our Laura, who provides our question of the week, she's a young mum and she's very busy with, she's very busy with her young boy who's only almost one. And so question of the week's on a little bit of a hold at the moment while she's chasing him who's just beginning to walk. As soon as we've got used to that new mobility, we'll be back with question of the week. Give mum hell rain, good boy. Okay, but we haven't got question of the week, but we've got Australian Security Academy graduate of the week. That's Phil King, Australian Security Academy graduate of this week. In July 2021, Phil's going to get himself a licensed private investigator coffee mug for picking up a new job at the Department of Consumer Affairs down in Victoria. Phil's all-round great bloke. He's a superstar on Facebook and on LinkedIn. He's one of the most popular people on both those platforms. Really great guy. And he is now a manager at the Department of Consumer Affairs as of last week down in Victoria. Well done, Phil, you're a champion bloke, and great to have you as our first student of the week. Please, people, comment and say, well done, Phil, over in the comment section to give him some support. Now, going back to our jobs before I got sidetracked there, NDIS want a senior investigator down in Melbourne, and they're paying up to $95,700 almost, so not a bad job there for the government investigator. You'll need a certificate for a government investigation for that one. There's an education and advisory officer in corruption and fraud control in New South Wales for Transport New South Wales. So you're going to be teaching inspectors down there about corruption and fraud control, and the admin people and a whole range of people down in New South Wales about that. Thanks for your support of Phil, people. That's really great to see. Casey's going to put your comments up in a minute, don't you, Casey? If you're awake there, Casey. So Education Advisory Officer for Corruption and Fraud Control in New South Wales at the Transport Department. Casey's gone to sleep. Renee, g'day, Renee. You're on this program this time next week. George, good to see you, mate. Congratulations to Phil from George, and congratulations to Phil from Evan and Renee and George. Thanks for your support, people. Phil's a great bloke. Connect with him on Facebook, connect with him on LinkedIn. Anyway, when Casey wakes up, she'll be doing those comments for me. Done Anglo Care, ING. They're after a fraud risk manager in Sydney, so in banking, not a bad job. This one's down in Tassie. It's a beauty. It's a director of biosecurity operations. Try saying that on a Friday afternoon when you're in a hurry. Biosecurity operations down in Tasmania. A really great opportunity to protect Tasmania's environment from people bringing in fruit and vegetables and stuff like that, not allowed in because of fruit fly or whatever. They've got a real problem down there at the moment. The frogs are almost wiped out by diseases that have been marched into on people's boots into the wilderness. It's very sad to see. This one, I don't usually put these up. This is an investigation officer role for a deco. Now, you've got to be careful here. If you're going to apply for this, sometimes with a deco, they are just simply glorified Centrelink call centre jobs. So I don't usually put them up in here. I'm not really interested in that kind of work. But, you know, if you thrive in that call centre environment, good on you. That's a job there that you can have as a fraud investigator with Centrelink. So some people thrive on that. Personally, I don't. Right? Brookside, they're looking for investigators in New South Wales and Victoria. So a great team at Brookside. You won't be disappointed if you get in contact, particularly with this guy, Darren Maynard. Darren's a champion man, a great bloke. Brookside did a very good job in getting Darren working for them. So they're looking for investigators to join their team, and in all states and territories. So that's a really interesting one. Had a relative ring me this week. She knows I'm a private investigator, and she got rear-ended on the first day of buying a new second-hand car. And she said, Brookside are coming to investigate me. She got a lawyer. Look, show Brookside the photo you took before you left the car yard. They'll check the metadata on that, and Brookside will take 2 seconds to go, that car was insured before it left the car yard, and the metadata on the photo of you with your new car in the car yard. And the time the airbags went off in the person who rear-ended your vehicle will match up. They'll know you were insured beforehand. There won't be a problem. And so the suspicion that you bought a new car and you had an accident and you bought insurance after that will be gone out to the window. And Brookside will confirm that within about 5 seconds. They're very professional at Brookside. Good on you, Brookside. You're a champion team. Great to see you in every state and territory. Hello, Jamie's here. Everybody relax. Good to see you, Jamie. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. We've got some more jobs. So Brookside, Joshua down at Insight Intelligence, people. You're looking for workers' compensation investigation work in New South Wales, get in touch with Joshua at Insight Intelligence. This is who they are. You can Google them and find their website. Great team at Insight Intelligence. They've built a fantastic little business down there. A lot of my graduate students end up at Insight Intelligence with Mario and Joshua. So if you're in New South Wales, give them a call, send them your resume, tell them that you're an Australian Security Academy graduate. You'll go up to the top of the list. Kerrigan's looking for factual and surveillance investigators in Victoria. RACQ, want an intelligence analyst in Brisbane, of course, naturally, it's the RACQ. The Building Authority down in Victoria, they're looking for a principal investigator. Look at the pay rate there, $120,000 to $141,000 for being a tradie. I suppose even the Sparkies would end up getting that money. Travesty. So Building Authority, great team at the Building Authority. There's a few Australian Security Academy coffee mugs wandering around the building authority at the moment. Quantum Corp are looking for investigators in Melbourne. So they want a general insurance investigator down there, and Quantum Corp are looking for multiple licensed factual investigators in New South Wales. Great team at Quantum Corp. Get in touch with them. So they are the jobs for this week at the Australian Security Academy Facebook page. There's quite a few of them. And one or two coffee mugs owned by George at the Victorian Authority. Interestingly, and now George has raised it, what's really interesting there is that the Victorian Building Authority has a lot of inspectors and investigators there. Casey's here, that's good. She's taken over control of the comments. Thanks, Case. Really good to see you. At the Building Authority, they have a lot of private investigators that work there. Now, I've met several of them. They don't actually work as private investigators, but they are licensed private investigators. And I met two there that are actually lady lawyers who are qualified licensed private investigators, qualified lawyers, and also hold the Australian Security Academy Diploma of Government Investigation. So big, well qualified, great team at the Building Authority. If you get the opportunity to apply for a job there, don't miss it, okay? And you'll see those coffee mugs are actually real. So what's happened in news this week around in the investigation industry in Australia? Tragically today, earlier this morning, down in Wollongong, a 76-year-old lady was on her veranda at the front of her house in a elevated house, as you can see there. That's the actual house that came up on the news, and the veranda collapsed underneath her. So all that fencing, what looks like fencing down, that's what was the veranda sort of fence posts. It's all collapsed. She's gone down with it. She's in a critical condition. Now, what's this in the news for here? Well, as a private investigator, you're going to investigate a lot of these situations. So there's numerous people at the end of school year for the year 12 graduation party at someone's house. They're all having a great time and they all get on the veranda. There's 17 of them and the veranda collapses. And then everybody sues that place's home and contents insurer for the public liability side of it. And there are people that are injured. Sometimes there's people that are fatally injured. So you've got to get used to this. You're going to be doing it as an Australian licensed private investor. Doesn't matter what state you're in. Okay, it's a common occurrence. Now, this is one 76-year-old lady went out on this veranda and it's collapsed. So there's going to be maintenance issues if she rents or owns a house. If she owns a house, she can't sue herself, but if she rents the house, then there's going to be maintenance issues and inspection issues and all sorts of issues that the investigators will be going, because there'll be a claim made against whoever insured the rental property. Now, I don't know if it's a rental property. That's irrelevant. What I know about that, all I'm saying to you is get used to severely injured people in veranda collapses, because it's going to happen. And in this case, it was one person. Usually, it could be 5 or 6 to 20 people on a veranda. It falls, and they all just go down instantly. And it's a very sad situation, particularly serious injuries and fatals. It's highly emotional, and it's something that you'll have to go out and interview all the witnesses and take statements from them, find out who built the property, who insured the property. Well, you'll be representing the insurer of the property. So get used to the situation that you're going to be in here with the veranda collapse. Now, we used to have a lot of these in Queensland when I first moved to Queensland in the year 2000, 1999 I moved here. And in the year 2000, when I was investigating, I'd get quite a few of these, and they were always wooden verandas. There were never any cement or steel verandas, that sort of thing. So we sort of looked at it, and we sort of got a picture after doing 20 or 30 of these things. There was a pattern, and what had happened, they'd brought the timber from the Mount St. Helens volcano eruption over in America. So the volcano erupted and all the forests were burnt. and there were shiploads of cheap timber coming out of America, and they sent it over to Australia. And building firms and construction firms bought tons and tons of this material, which was already damaged. And they, cleaned it up, wiped the charcoal off it, chopped it up, turned it into boards. And being already damaged and then going into Queensland's heat and humidity, a lot of those verandas collapsed. And so that was one of the things we traced it right back to the timber coming from the Mount St Helens volcano. Now, you can't sue a volcano, but you can sue the suppliers of that timber, and goes back to their insurers and their public liability or professional indemnity insurance or whatever, how it was sold, what was promised, all that sort of thing. So not a nice situation. Sad the lady's seriously injured. At 76, it wouldn't be a nice thing to happen. I hope she survives. But as an investigator, we can't get emotionally involved in that. We've got to be prepared for it. One of the weirdest ones I've seen in years is this one out of our investigation week. A former university of somewhere professor was found guilty of sending herself threatening letters. Now, there was a situation that arose at the university about Asian medicine courses or something like that, and she was head of it, and there was some argy-bargy about it being cancelled, and she started receiving correspondence threatening her. She reckoned people were posting her underpants from her clothesline to her. It was a tragic series of circumstances, but when they investigated it and they checked the computer history like they do, they'll forensically examine your computer if you claim this sort of thing. They will then check the CCTV of the workplaces. They'll check her conversations with other people, go and knock on doors of associates and stuff like that. They'll put it all together, and she was found to have done it herself. Now, how did they find that out, and why did they want to know that? Because the university paid for her for a personal security guard, and that ended up costing them just under $130,000, and that was fake. So she's going to have to pay that back from a superannuation or a savings or whatever. It was a silly thing to do in a highly emotional workplace situation. I mean, what was at stake there? A course. Well, we could do other courses. Okay. This was a silly thing to do. Someone, just got confused about the right approach, didn't take the right approach, and took a heavy-handed approach, and the result wasn't good. So that's what's happened in the news this week. Last week, I told you about this. I'll just play it again. Okay, so you go to the Victoria Police Private Security website, and you click here on Private Security Forms. Under Private Security Forms, you look at the form related to mutual recognition. So you click on that form, and there you can download the PDF. Here it comes for mutual recognition. And here you can see all about your application from Queensland, New South Wales, Tasmania, South Australia, Western Australia, Northern Territory to become mutually recognised as a PI in Victoria. Now, the date on this form is 2017. So you go through it and you read the initial instructions. It tells you all about what you've got to do and who can certify your documents, all that sort of thing. It's basically there. And it talks about security activities, your license details, and the really important one is Part 9, employment details. Now, Victoria Police, for the first time that I have ever known, under mutual recognition in 20 years of being a licensed private investigator, are enforcing Part 9, employment details. In this document, mutual recognition application dated March 2017. So let's go and have a look at the document. So here's the document. You put in all your personal information, yada, 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 where you live, who cares, driver's license, fingerprinting, who cares, nobody what does, where you live, your security activities you want to do. Of course, there you're going to click investigator, because that's what you want to be. You don't want to be anything else. And then you look at your license details and your registration details. And here we come to part 9, employment details. All applicants must complete this. Do you have security industry employment arranged in Victoria? Well, why would you go there under mutual recognition if you didn't? You have no reason to. So naturally you're going to click yes. If you click yes, you have to provide the name of your employer. So you put the name of your employer. Now where this got tricky is the LRD enforced the applicant the rule that the employer must have a Victorian security business license to be employed as an investigator under mutual recognition in Victoria. It's never been done before, and they did it this week. What does that mean? What does it mean? Well, this is my Victorian security business license. So if you want mutual recognition in Victoria from New South Wales, Queensland, anywhere else, you've got to have one of these for your firm that basically you're going to work for. Otherwise, you're not going to get mutual recognition. So what does it mean? It means my business with this in Victoria is now...
Okay then. We hold the world ransom for $100 billion.
That's what it means, people. Thanks, Victoria Licensing Regulation Division, for doing that for me. And I received a lovely email from the Victoria Licensing Regulation Division this week. I love my job. And they added a couple of layers of compliance to me in Victoria for putting that video up last week. It's not the worst one that's ever happened. A few years back, the Victorian Police and Belinda Murphy, Senior Sergeant Belinda Murphy, were closing down every RTO in Victoria. Security firms as well on compliance issues, and there was a lot of argy-bargy going on. And the LRD called a meeting. Just careful. And I went into the meeting, and this was a big meeting of every security firm and every investigation agency in Victoria, and a lot of security assistant managers and that sort of thing. And so I went straight up to the back of the room and hid up there like you do when you go to one of these compliance meetings, because you don't want to be standing out. Anyway, I sat up the back, and we've had all these fighting by the email, and I'd been audited 3 times by the Victorian Police LRD, and police officers used to arrive at my house after every audit with handfuls, this is in Queensland, with handfuls of summonses for people that used to live at my house that haven't lived there for 20 years. These are outstanding warrants and stuff, and I'd open the door, there'd be 3 police officers there with these warrants. 2 of them I trained at TAFE in the police program. Anyway, so I'm at this meeting, and Belinda's there up the front making a speech about these are the rules and this and that. And she's doing a great job. Belinda's a lovely person. She's great. She's doing a great job, and she's making a speech. And so I'm up the back, and I'm sitting amongst all these people I didn't know, and I'm making really funny quips about Belinda and what to go, yes, Belinda, 3 bags full, Belinda, blah, blah, blah. And all these people are sort of like chortling and guffawing, and they're just thinking, this guy's just so funny. And then Belinda goes, and I'd now like to introduce you to my LRD assistant team. Could you please stand up, everybody? And everybody, 10 seats beside me and 4 rows of 10 seats in front of me all stood up. They all worked for the LRD, and I was the person making fun of their boss. That went down really well. Anyway, Belinda and I had a cup of tea together at morning tea. We were fine. Don't do it, people. It's not worth it. Don't forget our digital credentials. So this is really important. So I'm going over time. Those digital credentials, people, really important. They are the best thing since sliced bread. What they mean is you are a member of an industry association just for being a graduate student of the Australian Security Academy. Now, next week, Renee, our first inaugural Industry Association Vice President for 3 months, is going to come on and introduce you to some of our different levels of that qualification and tell you a little bit about it. I'm really looking forward to seeing Renee next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. Casey, as you can see, scrolling down the bottom of the screen, is asking you to send through your OSINT questions for next week and drop them in the comments, or private message me, or send them through to Casey at that email address. If you miss that email address, people, hit replay on Facebook straight afterwards, or go to our YouTube page tomorrow morning and you'll be able to see those contact details. If you want to know anything about OSINT, contact Casey and she'll answer the question on this program next week, and you won't have to listen to me waffle on and stuff things up. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So it's been a really busy week this week. If you want to have a business in Victoria for a security firm and have all your people get recognition of prior learning.
Okay then. We hold the world ransom for $100 billion.
No problem. Just send me $100 billion and I'll send you this, and all your people will be employed. I've got a solution for everything. If you want to win a coffee mug, we'll figure out some way next week if you're winning a coffee mug. I think Casey will probably learn to use our giveaway tool so you can be involved in that next week. Apply for those jobs, people. Those people are genuine jobs as private investigators and government investigators. Go out and apply for them. It's been great having you. It's been wonderful having you. Thank you for your support, people. I'm going out with my usual way.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
Oh, I'm exhausted. What's that still on? Oh, what? See you next week, people. Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy, the man in the bow tie.